G'day and welcome to another EHLS1 shed project. This time I'm going to be working on my own car, the Ute, and we're going to make it a little bit more retro under the bonnet. We've got a lot of parts to be putting on this, so let's get to it. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of work under the bonnet, making this retro utility look a bit more retro under the bonnet. And we have a little bit of a full tray in the back. You probably notice there's some name brand parts there, but I'm not being sponsored by anything. I just buy them because I'm looking for a bit of a product with a little bit of power in it, maybe. All right. So a bit of an upgrade for the car. Let's start putting this and emptying the tray and put it into here and see how much better we can make this under the bonnet look. Okay, so if you're going to do some of these, I think you need a little bit of literature. You can't just rely on the internet. I have a full wiring diagrams in here. This has got all the schematics there, LS1, so that'll make it a little bit easier to find electrical faults and trace the locations. Removing the ugly, that's the coil packs from the driver's side gone, and we've still got the passenger side coil packs in there. And we do have a hole up there in the firewall, which is where the leads will come from the driver's side or the even side. That's the coil pack along the passenger side, and I'll remove the coil pack on the driver's side. Okay, the first thing we're going to be doing is pulling out the manifolds, injectors, rails, and the electrical leads. I'll pull to one side because we've got to modify those a little bit to relocate the throttle position sensor, map sensor, and the MAF sensor. So those three will be going on to the new carburetor or throttle body. Will be going in there. First off, we've got to get the manifold and the intake off. So let's get to it. Okay, so I removed all the bolts for the intake. Nice pod filter. I'm sure someone will like that. It may be going on to our... They pop out really easy, didn't they? Very easy. There's all the injector rail. Popped out as easier than I thought it would done. Okay, so I removed all the bolts for the manifold, hope. Now we're about to pull out the PCV system as well because it's tucked behind my firewall. Been a bit recessed, so a lot of the back's back there, and I'll probably have to disconnect the MAF sensor while I'm back up there too. So let's give it a little bit of a heave and see if it comes out. Oh yeah. Yep, there's a MAF sensor. We'll pull that bolt out and that'll stay on there. I also have vacuum, but yeah, alright, we also have that. So, let's get a screwdriver and pull that off. Alright, so the hose is out the back. Let's see if we can lift out that small vacuum port. A tube. And out you come, beautiful. Okay, EHLS1 cathedral head, looking good. Now I think I'll tape up those. And what I'm going to do is we're doing hidden coils as well, so we'll do the centre first, get it running, make sure it's right, then we'll go to the coils, so that way we'll be able to isolate if we have any problems rather than going, what the hell, we've done everything. Yeah, bit at a time and on our way. So next up, I'm going to tape up those intakes with masking tape, and we're going to just put the manifold on, put the throttle body on, and give an idea of how much room we have for an air filter, what sort of air filter I can get, and then we'll order the air filter while I'm doing the rest of the stuff there. So for now, let's do a bit of taping. Okay, we've removed the whole of the powertrain harness, and I'm about to pull off the rocker covers. So there's one off. I'm happy how clean it is inside. Yeah, doesn't look like much oil there, but there is oil up here when it's going. Yep, you can see there. I've got oil up there, that's alright, it hasn't run for a while. So we'll pull that off and see what it looks like with the new rocker covers. Okay, so I bit the bullet. I got a saw back trying to lean over and do the wiring loom, so I've pulled the engine harness loom out. That'll clean up, and then I'll put all the mechanicals back in, with the manifold and everything. But I'll use the manifold on the bench, set up all the fuel injectors, the MAF and everything like that on the manifold, and then I can pop it in. I've done the knock sensors. That's the only bit of electrical, and we've pulled out the harness pull through there, and we'll put another sort of bracket on there. Neaten that up a little bit and tidy up some of the scratches on the firewall. And yeah, let's get fitted the air rocker cover on, valve covers. I'm thinking that'll look rather nice. Starting to look like a retro motor now. Little bits that we add, the better it's looking. I'm very happy with them. Except I did use the genuine rocker cover gaskets or seals, because the ones that were in there just kept falling out and it gave me such a headache. So the genuine ones fit nicer and don't fall off when you try and put them on. Next problem. The fuel rails at the top of my firewall recess. I think we might have to drop the engine down 10 mil, 5 mil, maybe 10. Alright, see where we go from here. So I've got an air cleaner today, it's a 10-inch. I have a little bit of gap around the back there. This will just be my street, not my show one. I don't really like how much up it comes. It sits up a little high. I might take a lot of that lip off and drop it down a little bit more. It just looks like it's a bit too high for me. But the ugly's going, and I'm getting more pleased with every bit that I've picked. Let's keep going on it. Doing the wiring on the manifold. Popping rubber boots on the injector heads. Wrapped in a split braided cover and
shrink wrap around near the rubber boots, and I think it looks much better than trying to leave them with a red and black on each one. We'll number those under the plugs. We'll do the wiring there. I think that looks a lot neater coming through there. Yeah, I did get the smaller injectors. EHLS1 injectors much smaller. Brings down this rail here a lot lower. Takes it out of the eye a little bit more, and will give it that more retro look that I'm going for. So I'm happy with that for the moment. Let's continue with some wiring. Right, fuel rails, manifold on, steam port all set up. We're just going to have some wiring and a carburetor and back fuel line to be done. We can start. I think I'm about starting the thing up, but I reckon that's looking quite good now. PCV hose has got to be done, and it'll go through the breather up the top there, but yep, all looking good. This is one of my spark plug support brackets. You know, airflow only make them down to a 2, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the end with the grinder, a little 3mm cut saw, and then I'm going to sand it down for a nice finish and then give it a little polish on the polish wheel. I don't need 2 wires, so I'm only going to want 1 wire. See how it turns out. A little bit of polishing on the end there, and it's pretty much factory again. That'll fit in nicely now. Oh, what I forgot to mention is these spark plug holders actually work on the rocker covers on small block Chev. But what I've done is I've used an M5, I think it is, M5 new bolt. I had to grind the top down so as it fitted in the bracket, and then I used a reducer to bring it up to M8 and placed it in the cylinder head. On these 3 holes that go along here, there's just above the stractors, there's 3 holes either side. I've put a reducer in there, and then I've mounted these on here. I'll show you on the other side here. Where are we there? And you can see it goes in that hole. So I've gone from 1 to 2 to 3. Tucked up in against the head. It should look really tricky. Okay, I'll put the manifold back on, and the wiring's all tucked up underneath the manifold. Injector wires going there. And we have the MAF sensor at the front. Throttle position switch. Map. No, idle air control on the back. And this will be my air temperature coming up to there. We've got to get a few, what do we got left to do? PCV valve, purge valve solenoid. I'm just about to cut the air cleaner base down a little bit, drop the air cleaner a little bit. It's just touching the bonnet. Hopefully we'll get it down far enough to be able to not do any modifications on the bonnet. The steam valve hose plugged into radiator across there. That's all looking good now, very happy with that. We've got also the ignition wires to do for the spark plugs. But for now we'll just do an air cleaner chop off. Just drop it down a little bit. Okay, today we're doing a PCV hose. As you can see, there's my PCV hose there. What I've done is a 45 angle spark plug cover, 3/8 T, some 3/8 hose. And there's the other half of my hose there, and that's PCV just fits into there. Then there'll be another piece of 3/8 hose from there to the outlet on the carby, on the bottom of the carby. That's it for the bench. I'll show you when it's all in. PCV hose done. Let's get this on the engine. PCV system done. That's the driver's side cylinder head. Goes down under the manifold and then comes out here. PCV will go up to carburetor onto this outlet. The other side goes across to passenger side. Cylinder here. And when I put those two finishing joiners on, I took the hose clamps out of there because they just looked ugly. And that gives it a nice finishing end. Happy? Well done. So this is my coil attachment mounting. Goes onto my ECU box. As you can see, I've got all the numbers down there in the firing orders. Also the plug leads have their numbers on them, make it easy to put in. And this is just screwed onto the back of the ECU mounting. Very small tapping screws and probably about an 1/8 plastic. And also the looms are attached there so they're not floating around. I think that's a little bit neater than what the big silver plate was. We'll see how we go with fitting that now. Okay, so this is where they are underneath. As you can see, the odd sides on one side, the evens on the other. Hopefully I'll be able to get the heater in front of there between the gear shift and my coil packs. Alright. I have some more cables to hook up under here, and we'll have to relocate one that goes to the front, to the main harness near the front left hand side. Thanks for watching our little movie there, and I hope you enjoyed watching progress of turning something that looked like an LS1 into something that now looks a bit like a early 350 Chev. I'm very happy with the results. I'm sure it looks much better for when I go to the car show now. It'll attract a bit of attention under there. And look out for some more work to be done underneath the bonnet here. But for now, thanks for watching.